Following close behind Christopher Columbus's journey to the New World, several European countries looked to North America, all with similar motives: fortunes, land, and finding a northwest passage to the valuable trade riches of Asia. The Spanish were the first Europeans to settle in the American lands. In our program, we have three subject matter experts: Alan Taylor, Professor of History, University of California, Davis, and author of the book American Colonies.
Throughout his life, Columbus thought that he was somehow on a set of islands that were off the coast of Japan, that he was very close indeed to Japan, and that the next voyage would surely bring him there.
Clarence Walker, Professor of History, University of California, Davis.
In the case of the Native Americans, their destruction was an offshoot of the contact of differing cultures, brought on by the introduction into the New World of diseases and pathogens that had not been here before.
Karen Ordahl Kupperman, Silver Professor of History, New York University.
The original source for the Black Legend is actually the writings of this Spanish bishop, Las Casas, but it comes out of his concern and his desire to see policy changed. But the English picked this up, Las Casas' writing up, and then used it as the basis of their version of Spanish colonizations.
In this program, we'll look at the Spanish incursions into the American Southwest, the establishment of Catholic missions, and the devastating results the Spanish presence had on the native populations. Of course, we'll also review the settlements resulting from Spanish colonization and the lasting influence of the early Spanish settlers that remains with us today. European colonization of North America occurred simultaneously with the Renaissance in Europe. It was an age of inquiry, of new thought and awakening.
During the 16th century is a great period of the Italian Renaissance, period of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, other great artists. This Renaissance is also very influential elsewhere in Europe.
Shakespeare was writing his masterpieces in England. Venice was the busiest seaport in the world. It was also the age of global exploration, and the Spanish, in many ways, led the way.
During the 16th century, as the Spanish were expanding into the New World, they were also constructing the largest empire in Europe, and these two things fed off one another as the Spanish received gold and silver that helped them build a very large army, helped them dominate Italy.
The route taken by Columbus, and many of those who followed his lead, took them on a somewhat southwesterly course, past the Canary Islands, off the coast of Africa, and then west to the West Indies. The Spanish invasion was quite rapid. In 1508 alone, just 16 years after Columbus first set foot on West Indian soil, Spain sent no less than 45 ships to the Caribbean islands. Eventually, Spanish holdings became the four big islands: Cuba, Hispaniola, now named Haiti and Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico. Their base of operations was Havana, now the capital of Cuba. These islands were the stepping stones into South America, Central America, Mexico, and North America. At the height of their conquests, Spain controlled lands 10 times the size of their homeland in Europe. The conquistadors who spearheaded these conquests into the Americas were often accused of brutality. Stories reaching the homeland earned the Spaniards the reputation of the Black Legend.
It was based on writings of a Spanish bishop named Las Casas, who had been concerned about what he saw happening in Latin America, and had written an extended report to the Spanish king detailing atrocities that he had witnessed.
The Black Legend may be, in part, accurate, but not altogether accurate.
It portrays the Spanish as uniquely vicious and rapacious, and I think that's inaccurate. I think the Spanish acted out the whole range of relationships just as the English and the French acted out the whole range of relationships.
Nevertheless, the English seized on the Black Legend and used it as negative propaganda against Spain.
The English always presented themselves as, in effect, liberators. They were coming to free the Indians of the terrible tyranny of the Spanish.
Spain desired land and riches, but being devoutly Catholic, had another motive to colonize the New World, to bring Christianity to the natives, people they regarded as savages without a religion and without a god. The Spanish considered it their duty to save the Indian souls.
But there's also a Spanish record of extreme concern for Christianizing the Indians and bringing to them what they saw as the precious fruits of the gospel.
Unwittingly, however, the Spaniards killed Native Americans by the thousands with European diseases, for which Native Americans had no immunity. Death by disease accompanied the earliest Europeans, starting with the arrival of Columbus.
When Columbus arrived in the West Indies, there were Native American peoples inhabiting most of those islands. And those people slowly but surely, say for example on the island of Hispaniola, within a generation, the Native American population had been wiped out by European disease.
Well, our evidence is best for the island of Hispaniola, which is the first place the Spanish colonized. Hispaniola is in the West Indies. And by all accounts, there were thousands and thousands of native peoples. It was very densely settled. They had a very productive agriculture that supported large numbers of people in substantial villages. And our evidence is that over a period of approximately 25 years, between 1493 and into the early 16th century, that almost all of these people died. A population loss in excess of 90%.
In 1519, the ambitious and ruthless Hernán Cortés led an unauthorized expedition into the heart of Mexico. Hearing of great riches that lay waiting in the Aztec Empire, Cortés led 600 armed soldiers from Cuba into the center of Mexico to the largest city in the Americas, Tenochtitlan.
Tenochtitlan was the largest city in the Americas, and it dazzled the Spanish when they first saw it during the 15 teens. They had never seen a city that large or that rich. Not back in Europe. They had not, at least not in Spain.
The Aztec stone pyramid temples dazzled the Spaniards, but their practice of human sacrifice repulsed them. The Spanish harshly judged others based on their religious beliefs.
In the places in the New World where the Spanish come in contact with Native Americans, they're pretty much also, unlike the French, contemptuous of Native American religion. And I think this can be seen quite clearly in Mexico, where they are just appalled by the religion of the Aztecs, with its human sacrifice, with its idols, and with its whole cosmological and religious belief system.
They practice human sacrifice on quite a large scale in order to appease their gods, especially their god of war and god of rain. So the Spanish felt fully justified when they became familiar with Aztec beliefs in violently conquering and subduing the Aztec and suppressing their beliefs. They thought that they were doing a good thing by their Christian God to accomplish these goals.